The latest incident, which happened in Benin, resulted in injuries but no loss of life. According to one of the gas companies, the cylinder installed in the vehicle was later identified as fake and fabricated, not designed for CNG, and exploded after being filled just a bit. The federal government has now warned motorists to avoid patronizing unaccredited centers to convert their vehicles from fuel to gas. All right. Okay, and the visual there of the CNG, Olamide. And the process is, perhaps we just needed to see what it is. I've seen all sorts of things with regards to this matter of CNG or people using gas. I've seen where people use the normal cooking gas as alternative to fuel for their generators, for their cars. But like the government is saying, the safety has always been questioned, right? But as government has said now, it's important that you patronize accredited centers and also ensure that whoever is doing the conversion has the skill required to do that conversion accurately, so that we will not witness what we have seen now, because people are now questioning this whole CNG matter. Are we sure that we are ready for it? Yes, we've been talking about it, and we have seen the bold step taken by the Presidential Committee on the CNG initiative. Are we sure we are ready? Now, that's the question on the lips of people. But we have Dr. Oludare Marindoti, who is joining us via Zoom from the USA. He is the convener of Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, to talk to us on this. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, everybody. Adam. Thanks for having me.
Right. If you look at the papers this morning, Nigerian papers, by the way, talks about if Nigeria is ready for this matter of adopting CNG as an alternative to fossil fuel. Especially the Daily Independent this morning, there's those saying, auto experts are saying that they doubt the success of the federal government's CNG vehicle conversion initiative, and they're saying that the initiative lacks proper planning. Safety is questionable because of what happened in Edo State. From your perspective, would you say that the government is very well prepared to carry on with this initiative?
Thanks. I've actually, on this program expressed a lot of skepticism about the program for a while, and the reason being that, there's a lot of, safety precautions and testing that goes into the making of every, vehicle that gets on the road, even though maybe our government does not regulate it, but, we have government in the environment where they are created, regulated stuff like this. And considering the level of, technical skills that is available in Nigeria, and considering the quality of the cars that are even being retrofitted to get into this CNG process, there are definitely a lot of, questions that, needs to be asked in terms of the safety, most especially because that is the most important thing. Nobody will, get on an airplane if it is not safe. Nobody will get the CNG if they feel it is not safe. And this explosion is a major setback for this protest. And because I personally don't feel that the CNG is the solution to our transportation problem. I believe it is public transportation. Investing more in it and getting, a lot of people to invest in this is going to be the solution, because these explosions going on with the CNG bus or something that I've always feared, because it is difficult to monitor something like this in a place like Nigeria. The government is they've not done an investigation, definitely they've not completed it, but they are trying to blame the quality or maybe that the person is authorized or unauthorized. I saw the vehicle that was being retrofitted. It's an old vehicle. A lot of things could have gone wrong in the, process of conversion, or just the ability of the car to be able to sustain this thing. So definitely, there's a need for an investigation to be done. CNG has been used in other places. It does not mean that should be the end of the old CNG experiment. But the CNG buses or CNG initiative is not going to be a magic pill that will solve the problems of Nigeria. If we, what is our CNG? What is even, aside the safety part of which is the most important part of it, what is even our CNG infrastructure like? What is our gas infrastructure like? It is all about demand and supply. So if we are trying to take demand away from petrol, and let's assume we successfully put it on gas, do we have enough infrastructure to get the gas out and available at the price that will keep the CNG cheap? Because if the gas starts becoming scarce because so many people are demanding for it, then the price is still going to go up anyways. So we need to find, I believe, in my opinion, much more smart, strategically effective ways to solve the issue of transportation and improve our energy mix. CNG is a good form of energy mix.
All right.
Exactly. Thanks.
Right. Earlier on, you mentioned two critical issues. You talked about skill as well as quality of vehicles. And then you also mentioned the concern about monitoring of the vehicles that will be converted and every other thing in the chain. And according to reports, a Nigeria gas vehicle monitoring system is being put in place to monitor what is going on in the chain. And although that is still being worked on now, so I believe that much monitoring cannot be done as of now. But let's get back to the matter of skill and quality. What are your concerns with regards to skill? Because we saw reports this morning that a number of persons have been trained with regards to this conversion of vehicles to CNG. We hear, I think NNPCL trained about 1,000 persons with regards to that. One might say that is not enough when you look at how vast the country is. And then when we talk about the quality of vehicles, are there quality of vehicles that can be converted to using CNG and some who shouldn't? Maybe you can help us better understand this, because where you are, we know that CNG is being used appropriately.
Yes, CNG is being used sparingly in the United States. I think maybe less than 1%. I think it's adopted more in places like China and Pakistan, because I actually looked at it. But when you talk about the quality of skill of people that are doing these things, there is a lot of industry that goes into these things in general, in places where the environment are very well regulated. Like, I tried to get just a solar panel on my house, but there was a lot of approval and applications and inspections back and forth before these things go on the street. So when you train 1,000 people, for how long, how many of the safety precautions, what are the industry that they have behind it? To me, it seemed like a ragtag kind of wishy-washy attempt at training these people. Yes, they'll be able to convert it, but we know that there is a dearth of skilled artisans in Nigeria in general. Our regular gasoline vehicles to find artisans, mechanics that can fix it is a headache. And we know that also in Nigeria since 2014, when they introduced the National Automobile Industry Development Plan, that there has been a significant drop, more than 375% drop in the number of cars that are being imported. So it is difficult in Nigeria right now to find a car that is younger than 10 years old. So wear and tear is just a normal reality of life. So a car that is close to its grave, that is on great grandfather time, that you are now trying to retrofit because petrol is expensive, it is just going to have so many moving parts that will increase the likelihood of these kinds of disasters. I mean, thank God, it was I didn't hear that people that were involved in that place died, but I heard they were, severely injured. But, think about the situation of a man who has his children in the backseat of the car, and that kind of a thing happened. That would have even been a lot of tragedy. Or the public buses that are on the streets right now. How many people will even want to get into these things? There is a whole lot that is supposed to, I am not an expert in this, but I know that there is a whole lot that is supposed to go into ensuring safety. Seriousness, that is more than just training 1,000 people to be able to do a shortcut conversion of cars to CNG. And safety is the most important thing. We need to focus on the safety. There's a lot of all these accidents going on in Nigeria right now. Even 4 tankers are turning over and burning and killing a lot of people. So the process needs to be a lot much slower, and there should be a lot of cautious optimism. And like I have said on this program before, this is not going to be a short-term thing. Even if that is the direction we want to go to, we want to follow, it can never be a short term, and that is the risk of politicians putting their names behind a process, because sometimes when it backfires, it can have a ripple effect on them. I feel like it's supposed to be a gradual thing that we are going to experiment and ensure safety first. Safety is the number one, the most important thing. Nobody wants to, destroy lives, kill people, and all those things. So we should focus on safety, and we have a lot more to do when it comes to that.
We have a lot more to do when it comes to that. We are also talking about, safety at this time where states like Edo, especially for the most recent explosion, we're at the forefront of this CNG initiative. This is a growing sector that, so many persons may want to come into. But then I believe we have another issue on our hands, which will be the influx of, quirks and all that. The most recent was talking about fake cylinders. That means there are persons who are trying to take advantage of this as a growing sector. How do we address this vis-a-vis the lack of awareness in terms of recognizing some of this equipment?
Yeah, if we talk about fake cylinders, there might be a lot more that goes into using fake cylinders. The person that did the conversion could have been one of those 1,000 people that were trained, but that was the availability of cylinder, or maybe the one that money can buy. Definitely there is a grade of metal that should go into making something like this. We see them on some of the huge trucks that go on the streets. I even saw them in Nigeria before I left, that were using gas, and those are a lot more secure. There's the valve integrity and all these things. There is a lot of research that needs to be done about this particular one, but I believe this danger is probably going to go a long way in preventing the adoption, because the federal government, no matter how good the intention is, they cannot impose it on the people. The people also need to buy into it. If the people had been buying into it because they think it's going to bring down the cost of transportation, with this disaster, God forbid we have another one, it is going to make people, even someone like you right now, if I told you this car is the CNG, but I'm pretty sure you might be a little bit reticent before you get into it. You may be reluctant to get into the car because of this, you don't want to, and this is going to really, destroy that. That is why the safety should have been put first. That even after you have converted the car, before you even keep it, before you put, any CNG in it, there should have been some integrity tests. And we don't really have the machinery, at least based on my own knowledge of Nigeria. At the time I left, we don't have the machinery in terms of the skilled artisan that can effectively sustain these things. Maybe I'm using American standard in terms of how they focus on security and the level of checkpoints that something like this would have to go through. Because imagine a car going on the street and just exploding beside the school bus or something. This happened in the gas station, so it was a little bit limited. What if it was in traffic along Lekki Expressway or in Yaba or anything? That would have even increased the number of casualties, shrapnels all around where people are. So we have to focus. Safety is first. If I was, advising anybody in charge of this thing, there should be a pause on all CNG conversion for now, and then we investigate, and then we restrain our steps, and then we give the guidelines about how this conversion can be, and then we try not to put too much emphasis on it. It is, even at 1,000 cars, how many can they convert in how many short period of time? Where will the gas, do we have, how many gas filling stations do we have all across the states? We'll be having a situation where someone drives to the state and then has to drive, find the bus back to Lagos to buy gas so that he can go and put it in his, what's it called? How does the exchange even happen? We don't have the infrastructure yet. We can, cautiously use it with maybe public transport if we can ensure the safety and, to take all the precautions. But we should be cautiously optimistic, about this thing. It is not a one-time a miracle pill that will solve all our problems. Yes, it is cheap, but there is a lot that goes into it, and the Nigerian people need to be, intimated with that so that they can cautiously wait and let this whole thing grow gradually. The solution to our transportation problem is still public transportation, empowering the local governments to be able to handle their own public transportation and investing more in it, and encouraging private investors to get in by first off even taking off the punitive import duty on importation of these kinds of cars that we don't make, that we need. These are things that can really help us.
As much as public transportation is still the solution from your perspective to our transportation problem, there are those who would say that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have an alternative, a variety for people to perhaps choose from. And then the major issue should be how to put proper structure in place to ensure that whatever option or alternative people want, safety is very important at the end of the day, like you have rightly pointed out. And so some are also saying that because of this incident, should we then begin to shut down this matter of conversion to CNG and all of it, that we have seen vehicles using fuel have accidents, have one issue or the other, and that hasn't stopped people from either patronizing, going into vehicles using fuel as the source of transportation or energy for transportation and all of it. And so this shouldn't be really the problem right now, that perhaps this is just some way of sabotaging government's effort at pushing this alternative.
Well, whoever is believing that they are trying to sabotage the government's efforts, it should probably have a rethink, because, regardless, even if this is, it is inconsequential because it is a potential for danger. There's a hazard right there. But, I will tell you a story about why your cooking gas has a smell. It was, I think there was a disaster in the 1920s in Texas where a school tapped into a gas pipeline and there was an explosion that killed over 200 students. And what did they do? They went back to the drawing board. They decided to start adding sulfur into the gas. So the methane that you actually use to cook does not smell. It is the sulfur that they have to eat, so that if there is a leak, you can smell it and run away and close the valve and all those things. So these are things that will take time for reevaluation. There is no hurry in converting cars where people might not be safe. Safety cannot be left to chance. It should be that all precautions, all stops have been gone through before they can approve. So there should be an approval process before a CNG retrofitted car and even get on the fuel. There might be a level of maybe cars that are maybe 10 years and above are the only ones that can maybe effectively be converted, because maybe a car that has been in an accident before cannot be converted because of the crookedness of whatever the metal. These are, I don't know, these are things that need to be researched, and they need to come up with a detailed, not a hurried, but a detailed safety first. The CNG bus can explode beside the convoy of a governor, of a president, of a senator. So this is the safety. This thing is a matter of public safety, and it is public safety for all of us. So there is no need for a rush. Stop the program, pause the program, not stop it. Investigate, get all the stop gaps that the checkpoints that you want to put in place, then re-roll it out with cautious optimism. We are trying to improve our energy mix. No matter how much you promote CNG, all cars will not necessarily move on CNG, because that might even put in not too much pressure on the CNG availability in the first place. And building this infrastructure for CNG transport, gas pipeline, or all those things will take time. So yes, it is good to improve our energy mix and have CNG and have petrol and have diesel and have electric cars and all those things. But safety, especially for something like this, because petrol will burn. We saw how the petrol in Jigawa was burning. It will be contiguous from one area to the other. A gas will explode because first of the gas is compressed. The gas tanker can even turn to a projectile. There are so many of these, the harness that they use to train it to the might not be a very reliable sort of securing mechanism. So there are a lot of, before they make a car, they do a crash test. They will drive the car literally into the wall to see how it will hold and prevent people. So these are some of the stress tests. I'm not saying crash tests right now, but stress tests that each of the converted cars will need to be taken through before it is allowed to get on the streets and putting the lives of people in danger. It has always been a potential danger that we have seemed to ignore in an attempt of finding a panacea to our increased fuel price. And like I said, public transport is still going to be the solution. Let us prioritize safety and the health of all and sundry in Nigeria.
And, while some will agree with you that this initiative is not one to be rushed, others will possibly say desperate time calls for desperate measures. This is a time where we're looking to diversify to ensure that our economy is as strong as possible. But let's look at this from the angle of safety that you have, been reiterating. How do we ensure that, Nigerians utilize some of these things in a good way? I'm talking about raising public awareness about the use. While there is a risk involved in the use of the CNG, there is a risk involved in the use of, fuel, cooking gas, and other things like you mentioned. So let's talk about public safety, the proper use of these things, and how Nigerians or how the government itself can help Nigerians transit from the use of fuel and other forms. You understand?
Yeah, from the, definitely there's risk with the use of petrol, and there's risk with the use of gas. Everything in life comes with a risk. But that of this, when you buy your petrol cars, a lot of security checks have been done in the way by which this, stuff moves, the gas moves from the tank in the back into your engine and all these things. So there are specific grades of pipes and tubes and things that they need to specify and have verified, dealers and all those things. These things will take time. Nigeria is a place where it is difficult to police anything, but that is what we have to do. We have to wait and take the time to ensure we put the security checkpoints in it. Nigerians need not to be scared of, the CNGs. Maybe the ones that are brand new, verified. They can improve. China makes CNG cars that can be, brought in. They make in the various other places. But if we have verified car makers making CNG buses that have gone through a lot of this training and they put the the safety precautions in place, this can be a much more safer option. And I feel like even the CNG initiative should be targeted more towards public transport, where it will be more effective than private transport. If we can really focus on our public transport system, Nigeria is not so big. If the local government can manage it, the people will be able to move from point A to point B using these CNG, buses and all that have gone through rigorous safety, precautions, and it will make the lives of everybody better. And people that want to drive their cars will still be driving their regular cars. I don't think you can go and retrofit a brand new Mercedes to use CNG. They even have a grade of gas that they're supposed to use. So these are things that safety is very important. If we don't handle the safety, the CNG initiative is going to be dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. So if you want to get it right, you have to ensure that people feel safe in it. They are trying out driverless cars all over cities in America right now. But the most important thing is safety, because they know if it cannot be safe, that is bad business. So see, this CNG initiative is going to be bad business if the government cannot ensure
the program. But would that insulate the program from quackery and substandard use of the gas required?
Yes, definitely, because they can make a system whereby before you can even go and fill a gas, you have to show that you have gotten an approval from whatever the safety regulatory authority. Hopefully, they don't turn it into another money extortion process, because we know these things are possible in Nigeria without good, checks on these agencies, so that you don't put people on what's it called? You don't put people in danger, and anybody that is found to have violated whatever laid down rules will be prosecuted. If there's any quack, Nigerians are very docile, in my opinion, from my experience. We just need serious government that is ready to, maintain the law, to enforce the law. Once Nigerians see that a law is being enforced, we often couple. So if we punish people that are breaking the law, Nigerians will always obey the law, and then we can move forward these things. I mean, this whole system. We don't have the CNG gas station infrastructure yet for every all and sundry to be buying it. We don't have it. It is very limited. So definitely, the only way you can insulate it from quackery, like you said, is to have laid down rules, laid down checks before the CNG converted cars can get on the streets. It must have been approved, and then once it has been approved, the approval letter will be, or document, whatever it is, will be a prerequisite before you can even put the CNG in the car. And these are things that, and if there's also any other loophole, you keep tracking. If there's any other loophole, you keep on fixing it. But the safety is the most important thing if this initiative is ever going to scratch the surface.
Dr.
And I think Nigerians and the Nigerian government need to be more cautious about it.
Dr. Oludare Marindoti, convener, Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.